Shavua Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi Masechet Beitzah. We are up to Perik Dal Mishnah Dalet. Today's Mishnah should be Leilu Nishmat Neria ben Svetlana Aranbayev Neriyahu ben Burcha Israelov Menuchatam Began Eden Amen and Avdi ben Chaim Lechaim for the Refuah Shlema Bacha Bat Esther and Daniel Shalom ben Rosa Betor Shah Cholei Israel. It is forbidden to make a utensil, which is a term that is used here to refer to any object made to serve a specific purpose, on Shabbat and Yom Tov. Making a utensil is forbidden under the Melacha of striking the final hammer blow, as Rashi explains on page 11b in Masechet Beitzah. The Mishnah cites some activities that are prohibited for this reason. The Mishnah begins, "En pochatin et enel mipnei shu oseh keli." We may not hollow out a lump of clay to form a lamp, because one thereby makes a utensil. One may not press his fist into a lump of clay to hollow it out. Ve'nosin pechamin b'yom tov, and we may not make charcoal on Yom Tov, because even charcoal is considered a utensil. The Rav explains charcoal is considered a utensil because it was used as such by goldsmiths when they purified gold. Ve'en chotchin et hapitila lishnaim, we may not cut a wick in two, because a new wick utensil is therefore formed. The Rav explains a wick is regarded as a utensil because it is used to hold a flame. The next Tana holds that there is a permissible way to cut a wick in two. Rabbi Yehuda says, one may cut it with the flame so that the ends of the wick can be used in two lamps. Meaning a person may take a single long wick, put one end into one lamp and the other end into another lamp, and light the middle of the wick so that it splits into two shorter ones. He's allowed to do this according to Rabbi Yehuda because it appears as though he is simply lighting the wick, which is permitted on Yom Tov. And the Rav does tell us, V'alachak Rabbi Yehuda, the Halakha does follow the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. And that is then a Mishnah Dal. Mishnah Hina continues with another law based on the prohibition of making a utensil. The Mishnah begins, En shovrin et acheres ven chotchin niyar litzlot bo maliach. We may not break a piece of earthenware or cut a piece of paper to form a pad on which to roast a salted fish. When roasting fish on a metal grill, a piece of earthenware or oil-soaked paper would be placed between the fish and the metal so that the hot metal not burn the fish. Although it is permitted to roast a fish on Yom Tov, one may not make a pad for this purpose. Making the earthenware paper fit for this use is considered making a utensil. Now, just as it is forbidden to make a utensil on Yom Tov, so is it forbidden to repair one. Ven golfin tanur v'chiraim, we may not shovel out pieces of plaster that fell into an oven or stove because we are thereby repairing it. Ovens and stoves were plastered on the inside, so it was not unusual for pieces of plaster to fall to the oven floor and hinder the cooking. Removing the fallen plaster is forbidden on Yom Tov because it repairs the oven or stove by making it fully usable again. Although melacha is generally permitted on Yom Tov in order to prepare food, these activities are forbidden because they are not part of the actual preparation of food, but merely steps taken to make food preparation possible. We call machshirei nefesh, preliminaries for food preparation. Tanaim disagree whether such steps are permitted on Yom Tov, as discussed in chapter 3, Mishnah 7, and the Tana of our Mishnah sides with those who rule that they are forbidden. The Rav explains the Mishnah refers to a case where the plaster hinders the cooking, but does not prevent it completely. In a case where due to the plaster one cannot cook at all, the rabbis lifted their prohibition or permitted removing the plaster. Aval mechabshin, but the Mishnah says we may press down ashes and dirt that are on the floor of an oven, because that is not considered a repair of the oven. Now bread would be baked by pasting dough to the inside of the oven walls. If hot dirt or ashes gathered on the oven floor, they would have to be pressed down so that they do not touch the bread and burn it, as Rashi explains on page 32b in Masechet Beitzah. Two additional laws about a stove. We may not place two barrels near each other in order to set a pot upon them to use as a makeshift stove, because doing so resembles the melacha of building. A fire would be lit between the barrels to cook the food in the pot. This stove is like a building, with the pot as the roof and the barrels as the walls. Therefore, forming it on Yom Tov is prohibited. We may not support an unbalanced pot with a piece of wood on Yom Tov, because wood is muktzah for any use besides firewood. Now the Rav explains, according to this Tana, wood that was prepared for use on Yom Tov as firewood is assumed to be prepared only for that purpose and not any other. And for the same reason, one may not use a piece of wood to support a door on Yom Tov. Now the Mishnah cites a dispute about another use of a piece of wood on Yom Tov. Then manigin et habehema b'makal b'Yom Tov. b'makel b'yom tov. We may not drive an animal with a stick on Yom Tov because we would then appear to be taking it to the market, which is forbidden on Yom Tov. A stick is usually used to drive an animal when it is going a long distance, such as to the market. And the Ran explains, the Mishnah refers here to a stick that is not muktzah because one had intended before Yom Tov to use it for this purpose. But in any event, the Tanakama says that we are not allowed to drive an animal with a stick on Yom Tov because it would then appear that we're trying to take it to the marketplace, which is forbidden on Yom Tov. The Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon matir, but Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, rules that it is permitted because in his view it does not give such an impression. And the Rav does tell us, no, does not. The Rav does not comment on who the halacha here follows. And that is Rabbotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.